coffee.
Well, we're gonna see how this video you wanted us to play for the opening is gonna go.
Excellent.
I have it queued up, and I'm on the
I,
right
I wish
browser.
I wish Church and Erton were here for this.
All right, let's see if this all works.
Daddy-daddy, we mind the cat for thee. 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 Appalachian juice mining ketamine. Do a few lines and we set a scene. Out of this world, out-of-body girls, kind of like dimes in a sea of pearls. Fur coats and cowboy hats, and the boys know where it's at. So, daddy-daddy, we mind the cat for thee. Daddy-daddy, we mind the cat for thee. Daddy-daddy, we mind the cat for thee. Daddy-daddy, we mind the cat for thee.
What the fuck are you retards doing?
Daddy-daddy, we snort the cat for thee. Daddy-daddy, we snort the cat for thee. Daddy-daddy, we snort the cat for thee. The mountain's full of crystal dust that glitters in the mines. We've been swinging pickaxes till we're losing our minds. The feds might show and call it a crime, but we know a good lawyer that can get us out of hard times. Daddy-daddy, we snort the cat for thee. Daddy-daddy, we snort the cat for thee. Daddy-daddy, L'chaim to the K-hole for you and for me. So if you're looking for a wonderfully wobbly time, just take a little trip to our ketamine mine. You don't need a credit card, you don't need your ID, just a willingness to stare at your hands for an hour or three. Daddy-daddy, we snort the cat for thee. Daddy-daddy, we snort the cat for thee. Daddy-daddy, we snort the cat for thee. Oh, ketamine.
So, are you familiar with that?
What, that song or that video?
That the origin of that video.
I am not.
So you know who Nutaku is? He's an edgy boy. He's in our same sort of sphere of entertainment.
I may have heard the name. I don't think I'm familiar with his specific work.
So he's that blue anime edgy boy looking VTuber who does a lot of edgy content and stuff related to anime and video games. Our kind of people.
Okay.
So somebody made an AI movie. His character was actually in that song.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. And he makes jokes to ketamine in his videos. So this was a piece of AI composition that was part of a larger AI composition.
Oh, nice. I grabbed it because we are fans of the Moon Knight dubs, right?
It's true. It's true.
And it's like, yeah, no, this is a song glorifying our official the official drug of the Gospel of Comics, ketamine.
Well, I mean, let's not go super far into all of that, but I mean, we have some interesting stuff for you folks today. So did you see about this new Leonardo DiCaprio movie that's coming out there?
I did not.
Oh, so there is a new Leonardo DiCaprio movie that is the latest high cinema movie for all the fans out there of high cinema.
I mean, is it like
Yes.
seriously? Is it cinema?
Well, I mean, it's made by Paul Thomas Anderson. And it's based off of a Thomas Pynchon novel.
I only ask because of late people have been asserting what is and is not cinema, and the movie wars are brewing again as people try to decide whether or not dour endings are bad.
Yeah. So let's talk into the broader spectrum on all of this. Cinema is a thing. Lots of people have gotten smart to movies, and they say, "Oh, this is high art. This isn't high art." Blah blah blah. So let's talk about the movie. It's like another. The movie's called One Battle After Another. So it's based off a Thomas Pynchon novel, which talks about '60s radicals, and their life careening out of control into the 1980s, right?
Yeah.
Realistic, all of that. Now, what if we take the late 60s, early 70s leftist radicals and we put them in a blender with the hashtag current year leftist radicals?
I mean, don't test these people, Larry. They might do it.
Well, no. And then you pour them into a mold, and so you have this sort of platonic idea of a leftist radical. And they're fighting the same conflict of today over a 16-year period, and nothing changes. So it's a farce. And the problem with a farce is if it's not going really hard at everybody, you're kind of like going, what's really going on? So the story is we got Leonardo DiCaprio's character who's a bomb maker. He makes bombs to blow people up for these leftist radicals. And the leader of this leftist radical cell, called the French 75s, is a black woman who goes by the name of Pussy Beverly Hills, I think is her name. They're all really stupid names. They're all really stupid, pretentious code names. And he's called like Ghetto Tom or something like that. Or no, Ghetto Pat, excuse me, Ghetto Pat. And so they have a love affair over bombing and doing leftist radicalism. And then she runs across on one of the missions a captain at the time in the beginning, Stephen Lockjaw, played by Sean Penn, who is a disgusting pervert and basically like all your stereotypes about ICE agents, government agents, all rolled into one person. And he has relations with this woman because he's, thinks interracial sex is hot. And also interracial sex with someone who's a militant communist is hot.
Right.
She gets pregnant. There's a scene from the movie where she's shooting an AK-47 with the shoulder guard part of the gun put up against her extremely pregnant belly. She drinks booze while she's pregnant, which would make a lot more sense in the original version from the 1970s because people didn't really know better back then. But of course, there's a problem on one of their missions. She gets captured. She sells everybody out to the cops, then escapes from witness protection and goes into hiding in Mexico. And then Leonardo DiCaprio has to take the baby and raise them in some podunk-ass town. Well, we fast forward. Captain Lockjaw is now Colonel Lockjaw, and he's getting to join the Christmas Adventurer Club. Now I know what you're thinking. What's the Christmas Adventurer Club? Well, it's a secret society that wants to impose white supremacy. And their little slogan for each other is Hail St. Nicholas. And they want Sean Penn's character to join. And he's all on board because he wants to be part of making America white again.
Right.
He doesn't say that, but I mean, it's implicit in the text. And to do that, he has to go find and capture his illegitimate black daughter. That might be somebody else's daughter. He doesn't know for certain. So he commandeers federal resources to invade a sanctuary community in the middle of the bumblefuck mountain states. Or Northern California. It's not really clear. And so then Leonardo DiCaprio has to go through an escape, and he doesn't remember any of the secret code words from the underground revolutionary movement. And he doesn't remember any of those code words because it was a long time ago. He hadn't really thought about it, and also he was really high. He gets captured by the police, but then he gets saved by Benicio del Toro's character, who's running the underground illegal alien railroad in the town, who eventually gives him a gun and helps him get to the place where Sean Penn has his daughter. He shoots at him but misses. Sean Penn goes to one of his collaborators, who's a Native American. He wants him to kill the black girl. He's like, "Nah, man, I'm not killing a kid. That's fucked up. You give to these other guys over here that kill kids." And he's like, "Yeah, I guess, since you're paying me." And then he eventually decides to be a good person and murders those people. And then Leonardo DiCaprio murders Sean Penn. Not murders, but he brutally injures Sean Penn. Sean Penn's character gets killed by the Christmas Adventurers Club. And Leonardo DiCaprio is learning new technology and trying to get into the current age while his daughter goes off to be a revolutionary and help left-wing activists who are being crushed by the man.
So, if this is cinema, Larry, I don't want it.
I mean, the director's a good director. The actors are all doing really good work. Sean Penn does a really good job of playing a disgusting sex pervert monster.
Right. But here's the thing. So I would love to say that this is a thing of like 50 years ago, because back in the 60s and the 70s we had this thing about people doing movies about people having problems, and it was always topical. It was always up to the minute politics stuff. So you basically had a movie where two people shuffle around an apartment and bitch about the government and nothing happens because there's no plot, and that was called cinema because it was gripping and real. And it's like, no, people were going to Star Wars. We wanted things that weren't that bullshit because that bullshit was outside our home. But the thing is that this has always existed, because if you go back to the 1930s, that was the problem. The popular argument of the 30s and 20s, okay, was we wanted adventure yarns with globe-setting super scientists and the like, right? Because pop culture, what was the mainstream culture at the time, was vapid and self-interested, and everyone goes, "Oh, you mean like those parties?" It's like, no, I'm not talking about what's his name, the rich guy that also had Leonardo DiCaprio in it, right? What I'm talking about is people who live lives of quiet desperation and go and have bridge on Friday, and you know, they play with their wives and their partners, and it's all very, very cozy and 50s and bad, right? That thing has always existed. This impetus towards living the most fucking meager life you can. And somebody says, "But Joe, what do you mean? Like, this is about a story about a dad who hijacks government stuff and is saving his daughter from a commune." And sounds really exciting. It's it sounds really boring.
Oh no. In this movie, the dad's not saving his daughter from anything.
Right, but that's the thing, is that every motivation, every action, even the tacitly illegal ones that should be interesting, is so fucking dry
Mhm.
conceptually.
Right. And that's why I said this is a farce. But the problem
Right.
is it
It's not a
doesn't
funny one.
it doesn't lean hard enough into the farce. There's
I,
there's no real making fun of the communist radicals. There's only making fun of the complications that happen when you don't remember your weird passwords. It's
right.
it doesn't, rib both sides. I mean, there's a couple of riots, but society doesn't change because of the riots.
I mean,
Um,
recently I was in a conversation where we're talking about what is appropriate to talk about other people about.
mhm,
And I said, well, all I can ever judge it against is my memes that I make, because I make a bunch of gamer memes for the Darkness Beneath. But the thing is that I mock everyone, including myself. Right?
mhm, mhm.
My memes aren't necessarily the dankiest or the spiciest, but they are equal opportunity shit posting in all directions,
But
which
yeah,
is how it should be.
yeah. And the issue I have with this is because of the fact that there's no real line of demarcation marking past, present, and future. Everything just feels like a vaguely nebulous now.
Right.
Um, it doesn't have the impact of a bunch of left wing radicals in the 60s dealing with the fact that that asshole actor Ronald Reagan, who became the governor, is now president.
Right.
It's not grounded enough in the now, even though everything is an extremely banal form of the now.
It is both fake and gay.
Now, I also watched something adjacent to this on the content spectrum. There's a new show on Netflix. It's a foreign show called Billionaire Bunker. And the show, it really is one of those shows that helps me understand that certain foreign countries aren't really up to the task of supplying the sort of narratives that American consumers are all in for. So here's our movie. Our
Okay.
protagonist is a son of an extremely wealthy man, one of the richest 250 people in the world. That level of wealth.
Okay.
He's in jail because he didn't oopsie doopsie and somebody died. And he learned to become a man in jail. Learned to use his fists and become violent, but also self-assertive and confident. And
Okay.
like his first day out of jail, his dad says, "Hey, listen, son, you need to come with me. There's something very important I have to show you." So his dad takes him to a doomsday bunker. A doomsday bunker where all of the richest assholes in the world, including the family of a young woman he killed. I haven't watched the whole series yet, so I don't know
Okay.
if his killing her is even fake. It could be. Um, and there's a little oopsie doopsie, and there's a nuclear war while all these rich people are in the bunker. That's your first episode. Rich
Okay.
people are there. The rich asshole problems all sort of integrate with each other. There's interpersonal conflict, and
Right.
then there's nuclear war. Episode 2, they fuck it all up. In episode 2, they reveal this is all a con game. Perhaps the most elaborate con game ever conceived by man.
Okay.
A group of con men plan to trap all the richest assholes in the world in a doomsday bunker and manipulate their wealth and their money to make themselves wealthy and powerful.
Okay.
And the second episode is they let the audience in on the con.
Right.
Now, when I was watching episode 1, I'm thinking, oh, so we have like a doomsday scenario. You have a guy in prison, and you have all these rich people living in a doomsday bunker where the people they hired turn into essentially prison guards. I like going, well, that's actually interesting. And then like he, uses his prison skills to help them all deal with the whatever. But no, it's all fake. It's all a scam. They build complex special effects to make people think that there was a huge seismic incident because of a nuclear bomb explosion. And at least in the best way of a con game, they set up 2 blow-offs to make sure everybody believes the lie of the con.
Right.
One in which they live stream a guy going out to reconnect the satellite antenna in a post-nuclear blast. Now, for me, I'm like going, well, that's a pretty dumb thing to do in a nuclear explosion. And the guy gets injured, and he dies, quote unquote, of his injuries. Well, that was actually all shot by a movie director they hired for the con game, who basically made a short film of all of the atomic weapons doomsday stuff for $20 million so that they could convince all these rich assholes that it's really the end of the world.
Right.
And of course, things start to go wrong. One of the members of the con team is like, listen, just let me leave. This is fucked up. I can't be a part of it anymore. She gets murdered by the number 2 guy running the con. And the number 1 person running the con, who's her lover, she goes along with it because, it's a lot of money. It's like multiple generations of wealth worth of money that they're trying to steal here.
Right.
And the young punk from the prison beats one of the guards to death. And he dies not because the injuries were fatal. He dies because there's no way they can get him to an actual doctor. If they get him to an actual doctor, the whole thing is fucked up.
Right.
So this is what I mean by saying certain foreign markets don't develop narratives of the quality we in the United States are used to expecting.
Uh-huh.
Because, Doomsday Bunker, you're having people watch a live stream of going out and fixing something in the atomic blast after they just watched a nuke blow up the area outside of their entry point.
Right.
That's not what anybody who's working on maintaining the psychological health of the people in their custody would do. None of that is. None of that makes sense.
Yeah.
Having them all watch the news of, oh my God, it's almost the end of the world. No one would do that. So all of these little things erode the quality of the narrative. But
I mean, it's why I've never said that Bollywood is going to go anywhere. I know a lot of people are like Bollywood's so powerful and capable. It's like, yeah, but Bollywood makes films for Bollywood. They don't make films for the rest of the world, even though they want the rest of the world to buy their movies.
Well, actually, Bollywood's working on that. And this was a Spanish production, I think. But what I'm saying, like from the narrative perspective, the idea of this Doomsday Bunker turning into a prison, and the guy who has prison psychology experience from being a prisoner ends up, elevating himself in the situation.
Right.
That's a good hook. The fact that he has to confront the people whose daughter he killed, that's a hook. Turns out that the fact that he abandoned his girlfriend is because his dad was trying to cover up for his crime, but then later his dad fucked him over in court and he actually went to jail because of that. All of these are good elements. But you can't screw up the high concept, which is the Doomsday Bunker con game. And again, there's actually one of the people in the conspiracy who's like going, no, this is overly elaborate and retarded. It's never going to work. It's going to end up getting fucked up. Incidentally, he's not been killed like 3-4 episodes into the show yet.
Well, I understand where you're coming from, but it occurs to me that this may not be a regionalized problem, because there's a show was very popular for a while. Everybody knows it. When I name it, you'll know it. That worked with not just some of the same concepts, but the same problem, in that once they broke their fundamental thesis, the show didn't work anymore. Do you remember Prison Break?
I do.
Right. Prison Break was very popular. Prison Break only works as long as you're in the prison,
Yes.
right? And the reason I didn't watch Prison Break is because I said this will never go anywhere because they can only uh, drag out the prison experience, right?
You do one season the prison, then you do the season where they break out. You can maybe do the season when they escape.
Right, but that's it. You can't, and I think you got like 5 seasons, right?
Yeah.
Because they also had to break back into the prison, and then they got to break out again. It's like it completely goes off the rails. So we can do that too, but I understand what you mean in that without the kind of foresight or the kind of creative organizational principles that we have, other nations are not necessarily as capable in their filmmaking, and it shows because different foci. Because as for instance, if this was Spanish, as you say, you think it might have been, I will never say that Spanish soap operas are not 100% better than American ones.
Yes, and they have a lot of soap opera stuff in this.
Oh yeah,
because that's the bread and butter for their audience.
Right.
Absolutely.
And full respect, no disrespect given.
And of course, I watched Space King, and we're going to talk about that. So, all glory to Space King. And I actually like what we've gotten out of the 3 Space King episodes, where we've basically had a character-focused episode on the weaknesses and the flaws in our key Space King Psycho Warrior team. Our audience viewpoint characters, we're getting to see them all feeling insecure, insufficient, and having to learn to be better. And
through extreme violence and destruction.
yes. And over the last 2 episodes, we have seen, fascinatingly, that Hate Monger is the best member of the team.
Except when he's talking to an AI, which you really shouldn't do.
Well, I mean, he should have opened up with, the positive aspects of Space King's ideology. But we'll get into that in a moment.
Right.
So it talks about how we have the medic, we have, the hate mongers, I guess, like the Inquisitor. We got the captain, and so there's the Imaginator, the guy who does the tech stuff, but isn't one of the Mechanicus, because that would be IP infringement.
Right.
And our Imaginator makes a very stereotypical 40k item, a thing that launches ghosts at a time barrier, and because it's a time barrier, it turns the ghosts into people, which doesn't work quite the way intended. I'm gonna say though, I liked that. I thought that was interesting.
I did actually enjoy that, and I like the spoilers for a show you haven't seen. I like the response when they when they do deal with the problem, where it's like, what if we just threw a rock at it?
I mean, that is one of the secrets of smart people. Is the really smart people are the one who keep things simple, keep
Right.
things basic, and the just average smart people will sometimes overcomplicate things.
Right.
Like the smart guy who is really really smart. He was like going, "Hey, let's invent boltas."
Yeah. Let's just hit them with slugs of metal because it's more efficient than these crystalline laser beams.
Which nobody likes because they're pink, and pink
Right.
is related to girls. And as we learned in the opening, no girls allowed.
Right.
Or as text-to-speech device did previously with the same sort of joke line, "Girls are icky." Quote the Emperor of Mankind.
Right.
And I like the fact that Space King, their space dad, told the Imaginator that he needed to kill the rival, and he was like, "No, I don't want to do that. I want to show that I'm good enough." I like that. I like that
Right.
little bit of tension there. They go into a thing where they're training an AI to become the purge of the galaxy, to go out and murder things.
You succeeded.
They sure did. They sure did. And half the team went one way, half the team went the other way, because Hate Monger was the intelligent one. It's like saying, well, if there's some sort of heretical influence, we could sniff it out. which worked, and he came upon
Right.
an AI who was suffering because it was being taught pain and all the
Right.
different kinds of pain that there were. And so Hate Monger opened up with teaching hate of the alien.
Right.
And it learned all of that, and then it escaped, and they screwed up by making the robots immune to lava, which was the control. And the thing I didn't like about the episode is they should have made the lava planet more obvious to set up the lava problem that was introduced.
Right.
And so the Psycho Warriors had to call their. Are those skeletons basically mom? Is that the
Uh,
in the mom dad hierarchy of Space King?
I mean, I think that's the implication. Since
Yeah.
since they're not directing with command, they're instead being directed by giant, not servo skulls. We swear that are metal skulls with a parental purview on their auto indoctrinated murder children.
I also like that they brought one of the dead Psycho Warriors back to ask him what was going on. I thought that was interesting and neat.
I was amused by the idea that it's like, no, it didn't kill us. We died from boredom because there was nothing to do because it just stands there.
Yes, yes.
Like, if we're talking about dungeon design, the
Mhm.
cube was an ideal dungeon.
It was. It absolutely
because
was.
because you and I have been in that situation where it's like you see a room, there is a single metal plinth in the room. Is there anything on it? No. Does it have any writing on it? No. Does it have any mechanisms? No. Holy shit, there must be something really important in this room, followed by 4 hours of long division.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then you find out it's just a simple art piece, and it's like, you motherfucker. It's like, I didn't do it. I didn't tell you guys to be dumb.
The plaque is this is the sculpture called "What is Overthinking?" And yeah, so what I like about the Space King franchise is it's currently making fun of Warhammer 40K, which rightly deserves to be made fun of. But what it's doing is it's kind of stripped off a lot of the lore and nonsense and focused on what if your goddaddy is missing and you're all a bunch of demigods and you're all emotionally stunted children because your dad clearly didn't do a good job of making you. Your dad screwed up. Although some of my friends who are super into Warhammer would say that's more new lore than old lore, whatever.
All right, so here's the thing, because you and I were talking about this a little bit before the show. When I talk about we they're not doing anything that Warhammer hasn't done before, and then people get on their high horse starting to argue whether or not 40K was a parody. I hate to tell you people, yes, there was a specific window of history in the late 70s and early 80s, like Judge Dredd, where Warhammer 40K was a parody. It was a parody of Star Trek. It was a parody of Doctor Who. It was a parody of Asimov and the idealistic notions of Star Wars and the idea that we're going to live in a super future where everything is great and everyone is happy and everything is wonderful, by saying, no, what if we lived not only in the most awful space setting, but it was ruled by the most awful space people, and our only heroes were brainwashed combat robots who lived for murder and have the emotional maturity of a 3-year-old. It's a joke. It's a big joke. It's a big joke that also happens to be super awesome if you play it straight.
Which Space King is doing, more or less.
Right. Space King is still in the comedy stage. I'm just saying that 40K today, modern 40K, is what if it was all of those things, but we were serious? And that
And
also has a place.
and Games Workshop is building in the ultimate retcon button into the newest of the new lore.
Which retcon button is that?
that there is a chapter of Space Marines who are dedicated to stopping the Emperor from waking up.
Oh, that's not the
all
retcon
costs.
button. Here's there are multiple retcon buttons. The Terminus Decree is just somebody not reading a book.
Well, no. This has been added in.
Right, you're talking about you're talking about the Terminus Decree. It has been.
Right.
Here's for the longest time, the Terminus Decree was a mystery box. We didn't know what it was.
Mhm.
What they revealed is that the Grey Knights are supposed to, by any means necessary, prevent the Emperor from waking up. Which, again, is somebody not reading a book? Because it's like, well, wait a minute, the custodians will fucking stop them. How did the Grey Knights, who aren't even the bestest best boys, because the Ultramarines are the bestest best boys, defeat the fucking custodians? It's complete nonsense.
Well, the Grey Knights have access to bullshitium technology.
Right, they have Metwardium technology. The thing is that the actual reset button is over in the Death Watch, and it's called the Omega Vault. See, every time the clock moves a little bit closer to midnight, a door in the vault opens. They didn't make it. They don't know where it comes from, and they don't know what's inside. But they keep finding things that give them small fixes to save the day.
Mhm.
Right? So presumably, at some point, when things are at their most dire, the final door of the Omega Vault will open, and there'll literally be just a box with a button on it that says reset.
Yep. And this is, in my opinion, Games Workshop's plan to introduce female Space Marines and all the things they want to sell.
That's everyone's presumption. I don't think it'll work, and I don't think it'll work because of Age of Sigmar.
Well, I mean, people have basically accepted Age of Sigmar.
They haven't. So here's the thing. You have three flavors of Age of Sigmar. You have people like me who looked at that and go, "We have Warhammer Fantasy at home. Fuck you." Right?
Mhm.
Then you have people that go, "This is bad Warhammer and I don't want it. Fuck you." And then you have people who are new to Warhammer who go, "Wow, Age of Sigmar, it's like fantasy 40K." Because their first introduction was 40K, probably from Dawn of War. And they
Mhm.
have no understanding that Warhammer Fantasy came first.
Right. But the thing is, from the standpoint of Games Workshop, Age of Sigmar still sold enough. It made them enough money.
It sold some. I do not think it sold enough, which is why they brought back the quote the world that was. They brought back Classic because they were like, we're losing a lot of money. Our oldsters are not coming back. How do we get them back? I know. Let's open Classic servers like WoW. And so they're going to have old Warhammer with a new Warhammer attitude, and we're not supposed to notice.
Well, I mean, if you want to bring back old heads, you need to lower prices because
Yeah, that's the other thing. Is everyone's saying we can't afford it. That's the one thing that Games Workshop doesn't want to admit, is that the reason Age of Sigmar isn't selling is not just because it's shit. It's because it's too fucking expensive for the babies and their parents.
and it's similar to what's going on with Magic the Gathering, which is turned into basically Funko Pops now.
Right.
But overall, I think Space King is good because it's an independent creator who has a vision and who is clearly supplying a product that people want. People want a product that interrogates Warhammer in a satirical way.
Yeah.
You know, the thing that Warhammer used to do. Warhammer used to be funny.
Yeah, well, not just funny. Warhammer used to be fun. That's like, it used to be a fun place to be. Now it is a no fun allowed zone. And I'm not going to go and make the mistake and say the wokies did it. But I will say that certain people of a certain political leaning have very much aligned themselves with the no fun allowed crew.
It is true. It is true. So, we also got some comics to review for the show.
Indeed.
You want to talk about the one that you did first? Because
sure. I mean, especially because it's also shorter. I've only got 3 issues because there's only 3 issues. I read some Space Ghost by Dynamite, and the thing is that I would totally expect Space Ghost to be shit. Okay, like I would straight up say there is no reason for Space Ghost to be any kind of good.
Now, you see, I would think it would be something from a comic book that'd be like the original G.I. Joe comic books. A tie-in comic that happened because two guys had a conversation in a bathroom.
Right.
And then someone else said, well, there's this Superman comic book you guys didn't want to let me make, so I'll just convert it into Space Ghost.
So here's the thing. I'm going to have to scroll because I can't, well, maybe I can adjust my zoom here. I can adjust my zoom.
All right,
Right.
give me a second.
So let me share this window here.
All right.
This is the cover of the first of the 3 Space Ghost issues.
Yeah.
That's what grabbed me.
It's a good looking book.
Right.
It actually kind of looks like something John Dillard might create.
Right. The thing is that it's Space Ghost, and I watched Space Ghost back on Cartoon Network. I know Space Ghost was silly. It's a 60s era superhero thing for less than 15 minutes, right? But this is like this is edgy Space Ghost. This is Space Ghost in peril, right? Space Ghost never takes the mask off. What do you mean he's going to take the mask off, right? Now, it's just an art cover. When you actually get into the material, he never actually does this, right?
Mm.
But they do not pull back in the story on any level. They get you right in to a Space Ghost story, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what is that Space Ghost story? Well, Space Ghost is saving a world from a villain called the Toymaker. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Have a laugh about Doctor Who. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because he has taken over basically a planetary amusement park called Playtopia, right? And has transformed it into Arcade's murder world from Marvel.
I like all of that. That all sounds good.
Right. So Space Ghost is here to save these innocent people or die trying, fighting a madman who has turned an amusement park into a murder zone. And like I say, they don't pull back at all. Okay? It's flying, shooting, blowing stuff up. So what's the B plot? What's the side story? Well, the side story is building up a plot that's going to happen in the future, right? Because the kids that are Space Ghost's
niece and nephew,
and also are his
Wards.
sidekicks, have encountered a man who apparently is their grandfather, who has been living unknown to them for years, running something called the Contra Corp. Right?
Okay.
And he wants to come back into their lives, and he's worried about their well-being because the guy who's their you just use Ward. I'm trying to remember what the other half of Ward is. Their protector.
Guardian.
Their guardian Dax is basically unavailable, and they're like, where is he? How does this guy provide for you? Because nobody knows who Space Ghost is. Because Space Ghost is a myth. He's a stellar vigilante going between the far reaches of space and the Galactic Federation to save people who can't be saved. He's fighting pirates and aliens. It's amazing.
Yes.
They even made me give half a wit about that stupid fucking monkey. Because the monkey is doing space adventures with Space Ghost and is like actually a valuable tool for stopping bad guys, because nobody pays attention to the monkey until the last minute. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's comics the way comics used to be. It's fun. It's focused. There are stakes. There's a meaningful story. And I would reread this to actually get the deeps of the B plot, because the B plot goes deep. The kids talk about what it's like, without mentioning Space Ghost, to be raised by Space Ghost. And how he's actually like a good guy when he's not wearing a hood and fighting evil. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Dynamite might be a C-tier publisher, but I would absolutely use my incredibly meager gospel endorsement. Read Space Ghost. Dig this stuff up.
I mean, this should realistically be a TV show on the Warner Brothers.
Oh yeah, I'd watch it.
They should make this into a TV show. It would be good.
And the important thing is, because I remember I only read this as a as a whim. I just saw it and went, huh, that's a good cover. It's only got 3 issues. This is the point to jump in. Okay? So, with that in mind, let me tell you about what's in the other 2 issues. So, the next issue involves a character named, I want to say Lady Eclipse. Right? Because there's a villainess who is basically Space Ghost Catwoman. And
Nice.
she's doing a bad. She's pulling a job. So it's Space Ghost versus a super thief in the super future, and it's kind of middle, right? But then when your name is Joe, and there are a few things that grab your attention, okay. The third issue involves that some scientists accidentally open a frozen glacier and release a space Viking who instantly goes on a rampage of space Vikinging.
I mean, that sounds pretty amazing.
And he is incredibly hard to kill, incredibly skilled at combat, incredibly resilient to damage. They lock him in a building thinking he won't be dangerous, and he gets his hands on a modern armory. They gave the Space Viking guns, Larry.
I mean, it's very much like what happened with Simon Phoenix when he went into the museum.
Right. And the only way that Space Ghost can help defeat him is to freeze him again. Meaning that the Space Viking is not gone. The Space Viking could come back.
That is a problem. You just kick that can right down the road.
Oh, and here's the thing. His name is Taco the Terrible.
I mean that fits the naming convention standards for Space Ghost.
Right, but it is just like, seriously, on every level, this comic is a wonderful throwback to just how out there and fantastic the 60s comic era was.
Mhm.
Like, they could have half-assed it. They could have given a Space Ghost for modern audiences, and they said, no, what if we just did a Space Ghost? And to put a finer point on it, just because it is super neat, the art is actually really good. It's conventional modern art, but all 3 issues have been done by somebody named Pepose and Lau.
Okay.
Right? And it is decent. It is solidly made art. Pepose is the writer, Jonathan Lau is the artist. And it's good. It's got vigor, it's got energy. It is, I mean, obviously, I got a front for my boy John Dillard, but
it's a very similar art style.
He's a peer. He's up there with John. Yeah.
So we're gonna be talking about some Conan comic book from Titan Comics.
Sweet.
So we open up in the Thurian Age, the age of King Kull, and the Picts are doing Pict things. And Brule the Spear Slayer goes to talk to a druid, asks the druid for knowledge, and the druid speaks of Conan and of Kull and of the science adventure character that Howard did, the adventure professor. What was the name of that character?
I don't recall, because what I was reading was his John Carter alike.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't read his.
It's John Kirwan.
Okay, yeah, I don't know that one, but I do, because he's in some of his horror stories. You say science adventurer, he's not a Doc Savage. He's more of a Lovecraftian academic.
Yeah, he's more Professor Armitage.
Yeah.
So Brule, after getting this knowledge, he goes to tell the king what's up. And he says there's a secret passage and we need to find some stuff. Meanwhile, Conan is busy stealing, because this is early Conan when he was stealing stuff from people.
Right.
And he also finds his way towards a secret chamber And we got our archaeologist also looking for a secret. All three of these people in three different timelines converge upon the cult of Set. And, snake stuff. And there's a woman who's, again, connected to Set. There's a wizard with a serpent dagger, and it's the Serpent Men.
So similar to my spazzing that I just made about uh
Space Ghost.
Space Ghost, are you saying that this is a Conan doing a Conan? This is very Conan flavored?
Yes, this is Conan doing a Conan, Cull doing a Cull, and I'm assuming the occult adventurer doing an occult adventure. It's a comic that knows what it's supposed to be about and doesn't mess around with doing it. Everybody's playing their role. There's no subverting expectations. There's no deconstruction. We're just having an adventure. We're having an adventure with evil snake men. And we got to stop the evil snake men because they're evil snake men. I really recommend you just keep buying the Titan comic Conan. Everything about it is good and it's worked out. Now, Ultimate Spider-Man is running out of its steam because there's only like 2 or 3 more issues in it before Hickman bounces and the new Ultimate Universe goes away.
Right.
He's turning into almost a J.J. Abrams when it comes to comic books. And we
J.J.
have
Hickman?
J.J. Hickman, exactly. And J. Jonah and Uncle Ben are slowly piecing together the fact that the Maker is, responsible for everybody's doom. And Norman Osborn's plotting. And the Negative Man is fighting with Kingpin. And so a crime war happens where all the heroes and all the criminals are fighting. The Council of Mysterios gets pulled into the war.
So continue, but after your review, I have a thing to
Mhm.
share.
And the Mysterios see a prophecy of how this is all going to end the world. And also in the advertising, they announced a Planet She-Hulk comic, which sounds terrible.
God, yes.
So,
Oddly enough, someone, I want to say maybe Sandy Peterson, maybe John Douglas, someone brought up She-Hulk, the TV show again, and now it is being discussed on the BirdNet, and I'm like, I just want to forget it fucking existed.
yeah.
No, we could talk about that if you'd much rather talk about that. I think that is
No.
solid. I showed that to Moody. He did not get it. I had to explain it, and once I explained it, he did not want it.
But what was your content you were digging into there?
Well, no, I was sharing Norm because you have Rip Norm as your.
Yeah, because
Your thing.
we all miss Norm.
I do. That's why I made this meme. Show the meme.
All right, 1 second.
Yeah, there we go.
So, have you gotten any good role playing game stuff?
Well, obviously, most recently, I don't know if it's still on, but Troll Lord Games actually offered their player's handbook for free. It's a PDF. Anybody who wants it, it's there.
For Castles and Crusades, if I
Castles and
remember.
Crusades, yeah.
And Castles and Crusades is if you're playing a D20 and you're not playing D&D, it's a really good D20.
Yeah, no, it's solid. Besides the private gamings that we've been working on, talking about, going on with, I want to say not really, just because the gaming sphere discourse has collapsed. How's that? People say things, stuff props up, but is any of it important enough to be worthy of our time as unpaid observers? No. It's the same shit. or it's the lack of that shit. The closest thing to something cognitive that actually matters in gaming, albeit video game oriented, is apparently a bunch of gaming fronts like the EA store and the Ubisoft store and so on all got together to agree in a very cartel-like way to establish a best practices policy, which is not best practices for them; it's best practices for people using their services.
Part of that has to do with the fact that Steam is requiring best practices for anybody who uses their platform.
Right. And it's the usual problem of these sorts of things is on one level, I agree it is infringing on freedoms and you really shouldn't do that. But on another level, it is also well within the realm of, well, if you weren't being a shithead, you don't really have a problem.
Mm.
It's the question of, are they going to take away my ability to call someone a shithead in public?
So, did you see that video of the hologram Stan Lee at the LA Comic-Con?
I did not, but I am familiar with it. Also, if we want to get back into comics, we could totally talk about how X-Men is underserved by the X-Men.
Well, we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll throw a bit of that.
Well, I figured we were holding off on that because we're waiting for Ayrton and Church, who might have more input.
It sounds like Ayrton and Church are both having positive maritals. So.
Oh, sure. I'm just saying, like, for people who don't watch the show because we're alone here, generally we try to like gauge what we're going to talk about. You know, what is must have and what is secondary. And it's like we try to save the really good stuff for when we're all here, so you can get that range of debate.
All right, here we go.
Here today as Hollow Stank to join you at the 2025 Los Angeles Comic-Con. For decades, I had the thrill of spinning yarns about heroes and villains in that mighty Marvel manner. But the real heroes have always been you, the fans, whose excitement kept those stories alive. The world may be a little nutty now and then, but as long as we share our stories and imaginations, there will always be room for hope, heart, and heroism. So thank you for keeping the dream alive. Excelsior!
What do you think about the X-Men legacy being so tied to the civil rights movement?
The X-Men's struggles for equality and acceptance were indeed inspired by the civil rights movement.
No, they weren't. And Stan said they weren't, but...
Larry, I think it's safe to say that Stan Lee and the creative team drew parallels between the X-Men's fight for coexistence with humans and the real-world struggles of marginalized communities during that era. This was a powerful way to address social issues through storytelling. The X-Men's legacy continues to inspire and resonate with fans today. Great question, Larry.
God, I hate this.
A fan named Melissa. She wants to know if you could pick one superhero who would save the world today, who would that be?
Doom.
That's a great question, Melissa. If I had to pick one superhero to save the world today, I'd have to choose Spider-Man. He's got the agility, quick thinking, and web...
Spidey can't save the world. Spidey can't even pay his rent.
Well, don't forget, there was a time he had Captain Universe powers. Spidey could save the world.
He has been Captain Universe before.
and
he is canonically God's favorite superhero.
This is true. So, before we...
Wait. Hero for the people, always putting their safety first. He's got a lot of heart, just like the fans who love him. Great question, Melissa.
To know what are your thoughts on the MCU and Marvel's legacy today?
I'm thrilled to share my thoughts on the MCU and Marvel's legacy. Dawson, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been a game changer, bringing our beloved characters to life in a way that's resonated with fans worldwide. I think it's a testament to the power of storytelling and the impact that Marvel has had on popular culture. As someone who's been a part of Marvel's history, it's amazing to see how our characters have evolved and continue to inspire new generations. Great question, Dawson.
One superpower, what would it be?
If I had to pick one
I mean, he's got it.
superpower, I'd choose the ability to fly, Rayhan. It's a classic power that's both practical and thrilling. Just imagine soaring through the skies, exploring new heights, and saving the day in style. Spider-Man is definitely one of my favorites. That web-slinging, wisecracking hero has captured the hearts of fans everywhere. But if I had to pick just one, I'd have...
Okay, so when this first started, I had two contradictory thoughts. The one thought has become stronger, but I want to start this by saying
That necromancy's evil.
Stan would have loved this.
Well,
We cannot understate how much Stan, provocateur and showman par excellence, would have loved the shit out of Stanley holographic shill. It's amazing.
I mean, Stan was a fabulist of the First Order.
God, he would have loved it. That being said, it is ghoulish and it is vile.
And this was most likely done by the people who were abusing him in his later years, who signed the contract to make this possible.
100%. Because the thing is that I think it lacks a certain respect, but I could live with it lacking respect. You know, we don't respect Walt Disney like we should, you know?
Mhm.
But the fact of the matter is that when they asked him about the X-Men and he started mouthing things that I have read on Grok,
Things
right?
that are incorrect. Objectively incorrect.
Yeah, but I'm not even talking about the objective incorrectness. I mean, just the middle of the road, mealy mouth, middle words for how great everything is and how much it's inspired people. It's like, fuck you, that's not Stan. Stan had vigor. Stan could have talked you into accepting a false truth with his sheer excitement about it. Stan loved talking about comics and the X-Men. Canned ham responses is not Stan.
No, it's not. And on a related note to that, there's the popular trend on the bird internet and places like that, like, where they want you to quote tweet something to share an opinion. And related to this, I got an opinion to share.
Well, as you're pulling it up, I wanna round back to something you were just saying. We're right. Objectively, we're right. The X-Men were not inspired by the civil rights movement, right? However, if Stan were alive, we could get Stan here. The ghost of Stan is with us now. We're having a seance. I think he would say that while the X-Men may not have been inspired by the civil rights movement, he would be very proud if the X-Men inspired other people to fight for civil rights.
Yes.
Right?
He'd even go so far to say, like, when Chris took that inspiration from the civil rights movement to the X-Men, it elevated what Jack and I created.
Right. And that's the thing, is that Stan was, even as someone who is arguably helping himself to credit sometimes where it wasn't due, because that's a hot tamale conversation that goes back and forth and we'll never have a suitable answer. Stan always reinforced the idea that it was a team. It was a generational team.
Yes.
It was teams of brilliant people, and he was proud to have worked with them. He, even at their most diametrically oppositional, Jack and Stan always had respect for each other, even if they didn't like each other. Right? I can't say if Stan liked Todd, but then who the fuck knows? We weren't in the office.
But you know what's funny? Stan and Rob did have a good relationship, which is one of the things I can say positively about Rob Liefeld. Is when Stan was in his later years and having problems, Rob showed up to be there and be kind and be nice to him.
Right. And quite frankly, given what I have learned of the comics industry and the time since I tried to jump on the indie scene, comics need more nice people in them.
They do.
They really do.
But related to this, we're going to talk about unpopular opinions of the X-Men. The racial minority allegory about the X-Men undersells the book. In short, changes what Chris Claremont developed.
Right. And my own response to this was, the least interesting mutants in the next book are the X-Men themselves.
You see, I think the X-Men are interesting when the team as family dynamic is properly set up.
So go ahead. Let's have some rounded thoughts before I jump in.
Yeah. But
Okay.
like, first of all, the X-Men, when they worked, they were always whoop, what's going on in the background there?
No, I'm good.
The X-Men, when the book always worked, is it was always about generations. It was always about the generation that was coming up. And sometime in the 90s, they lost the plot on that.
Yeah.
And now the X-Men aren't really about anything other than, this is an allegory for racism. Hee hee. And,
Okay.
you should have the X-Men be a sort of reflection of the different generations of people and how those generations confront the changes in the world we have today.
So my response to your postulate riffs on my own commentary, but also kind of clarifies what I wanted to clarify, which is the secret of the X-Men is they are an inversion of superheroes. And everyone would
Mhm.
go, "Oh, you mean they're villains?" Like, no, it's not that. Because a villain and a hero are basically the same. They're just differentiated on positionality, on what is good and what is just. Right? No. The X-Men are sort of the secret of the Marvel sauce. They aren't superheroes. And somebody's like, "What do you mean? It's a super book. They have superpowers. They wear super costumes. They're people first.
Mhm.
They're normies. They're not fighting for mutant supremacy. They're not fighting for mutant nation statehood. They're not fighting for a mutant future where mutants going to mutant with mutants and mutants. We would like to be able to have the same annoyances you have without being hassled. We would like to marry in public. We would like to pay our taxes. And we would like to hold down jobs.
Mhm.
Things we all understand, right? Because even if you are not in quote the minority, you're not one of the preferred people that would be an X-Man in a racial narrative, right?
Or, a gender narrative, or a sex
Right.
narrative, or a
We
religion
all have
narrative.
to go to the DMV. We all have to sit down in the chair. We all have to wait in line. We all have to sign the paperwork. And we all have to deal with the asshole behind the desk who doesn't want to give us the time of day. Right? We would just like it if that asshole was an asshole and not a bigot. Right?
Yes.
That's it. That's the sum total of the aspiration. So what do the X-Men do? Why do the X-Men fight evil mutants? Because the X-Men put together through Charles Xavier that as much as we want equality, we will never have equality as long as there are people going out in funny costumes and making people afraid. Right?
Yeah.
It's almost an anti-Black Panther narrative if you think about it. Because there's always those guys that are like, I need my guns to fight the white people when the war comes. And you should have people going, buddy, you can have your guns, but the day of the rope isn't going to happen. Don't do that. And don't say that to people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with that in mind, that's what I mean about the X-Men being the most boring part of the X-Men. Is if we look at the actual characters and their actual struggles on an interpersonal level, okay? Before they decided to fuck his character in a closet, Beast was a fan favorite because we understood I'm brilliant, I'm good looking, but God, I don't want to be a mutant. I tried to fix myself, now I'm blue and furry. Fuck. I guess I've got to live with it.
Hmm.
Right? We
He-
understand.
And Hank was also the amalgam of the jock and the nerd stereotype.
Right. We understand Bobby. I'm a mutant. I think it's really cool. I just wish people would stop being jerks to me. Right? We even understand Warren. I'm a mutant and I can't tell anyone because my father is a super bigot and I feel really bad about it. Right?
Mhm.
But over generations and across time, you have different mutants with different perspectives and they are increasingly pasteurized. Right?
Mhm.
I've never liked Cyclops and I've never liked Jean Grey. And the fact of the matter is that Jean Grey was so unpopular they killed her once, people. They killed her once. The most important thing Jean ever did and has ever done repeatedly is die.
Well, they weren't actually. They didn't kill her. Kill her. That wasn't the original plan. It was complicated.
She was offed, and then bringing her back as part of the Phoenix plot was an entirely different initiative by different people.
Yes.
Because remember, the X-Men were canceled once. The original run failed.
Now, fundamentally, I think Jean during the Dark Phoenix run worked very well.
Right.
But the thing is, the Dark Phoenix run took she's the repressed good girl who goes bad, which is something that happened twice in Marvel. No, 3 times in Marvel.
Yeah.
During that same time frame. And all 3 of them were really good comics. The one that has the most current cultural relevance is Malice in the Fantastic Four, because of that new Marvel
Rivals.
What was your favorite Scott Summers line? The one about Wolverine? It's like, somebody has to be the responsible one, and you need to have that kind of guy in the team.
You do,
in the dynamic.
But you also need to admit, and this is why the whole right Klopser is wrong, which is a different BirdNet post that you commented on. The fact of the matter is that unless that responsible guy is also kind of a lovable doof, a Spider-Man, I hate to tell people, the responsible guy is boring. That's why Jean Grey wanted to bone Wolverine.
Mm-hmm. And why they were able to psychically manipulate her into wanting to be a slut, which is one of the subtexts of the Dark Phoenix saga.
Right. And that's the thing, is that, like, Wolverine is an admission on some level, even at his original outset, that, superheroes need a little bit of spice, need a little bit of something, and, responsible guys doing the right thing doesn't quite have it, right? The reason that Superman gets constantly redone and re-envisioned and restructured is because, while you can totally do stories about a good guy doing good things, it's not enough on its own to sell a book.
I mean, you can. You absolutely can, but you have to be all in on the Superman concept.
Right.
And DC editorial is rarely all in on Superman.
Right, but that brings us back to X-Men. It's like, are we all in on Cyclops being a good guy?
No, they're not.
No, they're not. They never have been. They don't know what to do with Cyclops. And there have been multiple storylines to try and make Cyclops matter. The entire Mr. Sinister plus Jean Grey plus Scott Summers, Madeline Pryor, Phoenix, X-Man storyline with the Age of Apocalypse and Ascani's son and Nate Gray and fucking Cable is all an extended, massive telenovela-size attempt to make Cyclops not boring. And it doesn't work. He's the least interesting part of every story he's in.
And when they make him weird, like they've done in the Plant X-Men era,
he doesn't get
boring.
better.
He's boring in a different way.
He's boring and awful.
But the other thing is...
Do you want to know the most interesting thing they ever did with Cyclops is? Because I think it's pertinent. They made Havoc his brother.
Yes.
I actually love the idea that the reason that Cyclops is so fucked up is because he never got picked out at the orphanage, and so he had to be taken in by Charles Xavier, who was a surrogate dad. And
well, no, he was taken in by a criminal first.
Right, but then it's like, what about Havoc? It's like, oh, Havoc made a lottery ticket. Havoc got adopted by fucking rich parents who loved him. And Havoc is a put-together human being with the power of the sun in the palm of his hand.
Mm-hmm. Now,
and, and of course, tangential to that, Corsair and the Starjammers, also interesting, the idea that Scott Summers' dad is a complete piece of shit and a Robin Hood in space.
Well, I mean, he's a Robin Hood in space because he got kidnapped by space aliens. It's not his fault.
Right, but I'm saying that actual narrative, when they explore those sorts of things, where it's like when we ask ourselves, why is Scott Summers such a fucking pill? And you find out that life has basically done that man dirty. Then he's a little interesting.
And something else I think that the X-Men books have gotten away from that is to their detriment is the X-Men books are always interesting when they have something to say about the American educational system
Right.
or like the cultural ethos of school. And we've not had a good X-Men book that's been school focused since the early 2000s.
I mean, they keep trying, but the thing is that they get tied up in the wrong parts of the school experience.
Although, admittedly, my favorite X-Men run of all time was the time they were in Asgard briefly.
Right.
And I mean, that's the sort of thing that would be a fascinating Marvel Comics movie. It's like, what if we take our X-Men characters and we just put them in the Thor peanut butter? We put them all the way in that peanut butter.
Right. But, well, specifically because that's the problem with X-Men right now, is that they've only really done 3 stories of X-Men across 6 movies.
Hmm?
Right?
They've done Dark Phoenix twice, and they screwed it up both times.
Right. They did Weapon X once, but that was Weapon X in between Mutant Empire and an introductory story. Right? And then they did that introductory story and Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, okay, what they need is something that is clearly and more honestly an actual X-Men story. Right? And they don't have that. They're too busy trying to make all X-Men to all people for all things. That's why Hugh Jackman actually got a side series of movies, because even though Wolverine Origins was shit because it was based on a bad story, right? The follow-up, The Wolverine, is an excellent film based on excellent X-Men books with an excellent depiction of Wolverine, and it was fun. Silver Samurai was great. It wasn't the Silver Samurai, but it was still good.
Exactly. So,
part and parcel with all of that, though, I will say, I think where the X-Men have also lost the lead really strongly, and this is not just because of a personal thing, not just because Joe's a little cripple boy, but I think that they have gone so hard into that idea that it is a racial paradigm that they have forgotten that the X-Men are supposed to represent all people of special needs, colors, needs, and problems. Because the thing that has soured me on the X-Men, and the reason I don't go out of my way to read them anymore, is that one clip, that one set of panels from an X book where a evil Morlock, who is basically so damaged by his mutation that he's on the life support system, is giving his villain monologue. And he's a bad guy. He's done bad things, right? Like, he's an absolute villain, right? But basically he says, I did all of this because I am the dispossessed, the unwanted, the forgotten, the abused. The world hates me, so I hate the world, right? And the X-Men's response was not one of understanding, not one of extending peaceful coexistence, let us help you. It was at no level meaningfully understanding, right? It was Emma Frost, who should never have been an X-Men in the first place, going, are you finished? Because we're going to kill you now.
Yeah, Emma Frost is a terrible character.
Emma Frost is a terrible character and a villainess, needs to go back to being a villainess and being in the fucking Hellfire Club. And we need to stop trying to pretend that Shinobi Shaw is a leader of the mutant community. He's a fucking elitist from the 17th century who believes that people should be owned. These are bad people. Stop making the villains meaningful good guys in your society. What the fuck? Magnus might be an interesting character, but Magneto is wrong.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. What do you got, Leary?
I mean, I think this is good. I also think we should save some of our time because the bots, the folks running StreamYards
Mm,
are being rude
all
and
right.
cutting us out of our time.
All right.
I do want
Yeah.
to say
Mm,
next week I won't be here because I'm going to be picking up a cat.
excellent. You got time for a joke?
Absolutely.
Okay, so an Englishman goes up to a Welshman and says, "That your dog?" Welshman says, "Aye." Englishman says, "You mind if I speak to him?" Welshman says, "Dogs don't talk." Englishman says, "Hey, dog, how's it going?" Dog says, "I'm doing all right." The Welshman is shocked. Englishman says, "Is this your owner?" and points at the Welshman. And the dog says, "Yep." Englishman says, how's he been treating you?" And the dog says, "Oh, very well. He walks me twice a day, feeds me great food, and takes me out of the park once a week to play." And the Welshman is just completely shocked. The Englishman says, "Can I talk to your horse?" And the Welshman says, "Horses don't talk." And the Englishman's like, "Let me talk to the horse." He's like, "Hey, horse, how's it going?" And the horse is like, "Oh, it's cool." The Welshman is just flabbergasted. The Englishman says, "How's your owner?" Or "Is this your owner?" Points to the Welshman. And the horse says, "Yeah." And the Englishman says, "How's he treating you?" And the horse is like, "Oh, he's pretty good. Thanks for asking. He rides me, he brushes me down often, he keeps me in a nice stable and protects me from the weather." And the Welshman is just beside himself. And the Englishman says, "Hey, do you mind if I talk to your sheep?" And the Welshman says, "That sheep's a fucking liar."
Ah, classic, classic, classic. Good night, everybody.